Hi everyone, it's Ian here. Welcome to this Facebook Lead Machine webinar. It's Monday, May the 11th. It's 5 o'clock here in the UK. It is a lovely sunny day. Quick sound check just to make sure everyone can hear me and I'm coming through loud and clear. If you can hear me, just type the location of where you're coming from. Hi there everyone. I'm just going to go back to Keynote there. So yeah, Hannah, you can hear me. Nigel, you can hear me. From Memphis. Burford, Toronto, London, Harbington, Florida, France, Romsey, Nova Scotia, Henley, Phoenix, Denver, Illinois, London, San Diego, brilliant, Ottawa, Toronto, Blackpool, that's close by, Leighton Buzzard, Manchester, even closer. Hi Sim, you're in Aldringham, really, Toronto, Bramall, Dublin. Oh, good heavens, we have got literally dozens upon dozens of different locations. Bangalore, Vivek's in Bangalore. Hiya Vivek. All over the world. It is great to have you guys all here. I'll ask you to stop typing in where you're coming from now because I can't cope with all the answers. If the sound drops in and out, for example, as we go through, just try disconnecting and reconnecting. It's probably your network connection. Paul from South Africa is just there saying South Africa must be blacklisted. Yeah, unfortunately, depending on the network connection and how good that is, you may get a greater or better experience with the sound. I'm recording this though, so if you can't hear, if you struggle, you can always watch the recording later. Do feel free in that question box that you've just typed your location into to ask questions as we go along, and I'll come back to those questions at the end of the webinar. I'll keep an eye on the question box as well as we go through, just in case there's something I immediately need to answer. But we have got a tremendous amount that we want to cover today. I say we, I really mean me, because there's only me here. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do on the webinar. I guess you'd call it today's journey. We're going to go for about 60 minutes initially, and in that 60 minutes, I'm going to share with you some of my best kind of no-holds-barred material on Facebook advertising and how to get it to work for you. So we're going to start with the big question of, whether Facebook advertising really does work, and in particular, will it work for you? We're going to spend most of our time on the critical success factors that you need to put in place to make Facebook advertising work for you. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about my Facebook Lead Machine pilot program at the end if you want to go further and you want my personal support to help you with that. And then we're going to go into Q&A, and I'm going to show you how you can get hold of my Facebook advertising success checklist. So if you stick right to the end as a kind of reward for that, I'll show you how you can get a free copy of the Facebook advertising success checklist. Now, the webinar is going to be pretty interactive. I'll be asking questions as we go along. I'll be checking we're covering all the right areas and giving you a chance to ask an immediate question. So do feel free to type into that Q&A box. If we do get to the end of the 60 minutes and you're still asking questions, I'll basically stay on until all the questions are answered. So my goal by the end of the 60 minutes or 70 minutes or 80 minutes, however long it takes, is to be completely worn out by the end of the webinar and to have given you as much as I can in the time we've got available about Facebook advertising. So I hope that works for everyone. We're going to cover a lot of material and I tend to move pretty fast. So if you've got a pen and paper available to take notes and jot down the ideas that kind of get triggered as we go along, you'll probably find that's a good idea because another idea will come along, a couple of minutes later. And it's probably best if you switch off your emails, you switch off Facebook, you switch off Twitter. It's great to get tweets during the middle of a webinar with people saying, hey, they're having a great time and it's really useful. But I'd much prefer it if you actually focused and really learned something and put it to use in your business and got results from it rather than just you tweeted about what a wonderful webinar it was. Okay, so let's get cracking. What I'm going to do is just Carl's just said, are there slides? Yes, you can have a copy of the slides. I'll send those out to everyone who registered. In fact, I'll put them on the same download page as I put the recording of the webinar. So you don't need to copy everything down that's on the slides. And the best thing to make notes on is the ideas that strike you. So if I cover something and you think, I really ought to test that, or that's something I ought to do, make notes on that. You don't have to write down everything that I'm going to be talking about. Now, I know from the names that we've come through and you've heard me chatting that there's quite a lot of people on the webinar who I know already, but there are also some kind of new faces who maybe haven't been on a webinar with me for a while. It really tends to be quite mandatory on webinars. You introduce yourself, but personally, I really hate those big, long introductions and the kind of rags to riches life stories that seem to go on forever. So I'm going to go through this really quickly, but just so that you know my background and you know where my advice is coming from. And basically, I've been a consultant or a coach or one of the two for about 20 or so years. Before that, I worked in R&D. I was kind of forced into marketing and sales when I was working for a couple of big consulting firms. And because, as you know, when you work for any big professional firm, if you want to get on and you want to succeed, you start having to bring in new clients. But I'm absolutely far from a natural at it. So anything I cover today is not dependent on you having a natural tendency or be a great natural salesperson. It's all learnable. I've been running my own business for about 7 years, so my clients are consultants and coaches and other professional businesses. So in other words, I'm in business to business and I have quite a specialist client base, and I suspect that's like many of you on the webinar. Most of the training courses that you can get on Facebook advertising, I found, because I've bought a lot of them, tend to be aimed at consumer businesses with big, large markets, where it's kind of easy to find the potential customers. Now, it's very different if you're in a much more specialist market. I've found ways of getting that to work, and I'm going to show you some of those on the webinar today. Won a couple of awards, got quite a best-selling book on Amazon. Most important thing for today is most of my lead generation today is primarily done through Facebook advertising. I used to do a lot of guest blog posting, SEO type stuff. I used to do webinars every few weeks, but this is really the first webinar I've done that's been open to the general public, as it were, for months and months. So really now, most of my lead generation is focused on Facebook advertising because I found that it works. So that's a little bit about me. Now a little bit more about you. I'd like to ask you a question. I'd like to do a poll, actually, and ask you what your experience level with Facebook advertising is. So whether you're not using it already and you're really uncertain about it, whether you're thinking about it but you haven't started, you're getting started, you've been using it but you're not quite getting the results you want, or you're doing brilliantly and actually you're just looking for some kind of more advanced tips. So I'm just going to put up a poll now. It's quite advanced technology. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to hit launch poll. So hopefully in front of you on the screen now you should see a poll that you can click on on the answer to see which of those categories you're in. We've got about 40% of people, 50% of people have just voted now. We're up to 60. We are up to 70. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 more seconds. As soon as we get, I think 75% of people voted in a couple of seconds. We just need 1 more percent. Yeah, we've hit 75. So I'm going to close the poll right now and see what the answers are. Now, hopefully, you should see in front of you right now that the majority of people are thinking of using Facebook, so you haven't ruled it out. There's a lot of people are not sure if it's going to work, but the biggest group are people thinking of using it but haven't started yet. There's a few people just getting going and a few more using it but not getting results, and a couple of people up at the top end. So that's at least 5, 6, 7, 8, judging by how many people we've got. We've got, I think, 118 people live with us on the webinar at the minute, so it's probably 7 or 8 people who are doing great and want some more advanced tips. I'll be honest here, unless it's in the area of targeting, I might not be able to help you with the more advanced tips on the webinar because I'm mainly gearing it for the people who are thinking of using and haven't started or just getting going or want to improve their results. There'll be a couple of things in there that you might find really work for you, but this is not really about advanced tips. This is about getting going, figuring out how to make Facebook advertising work, whether it'll work for you, figuring out how to make it work from the get-go or to improve what you're already doing. So let's actually get on and talk about that. So what I'm going to go through right now in brief and then expand on are the 5 critical success factors for successful Facebook advertising. So the first of those is targeting. Now, as I just said earlier, a lot of the courses you'll get on Facebook advertising, a lot of what you'll read about it is all about dealing with big consumer markets. And that's great if it's easy to find your potential customers. You can jump straight onto what the ads look like, etc. But for most of us who have much more of a specialist market, so maybe we're targeting professionals like dentists or lawyers, maybe we're targeting the CEOs of larger businesses, the targeting becomes absolutely crucial. Now, I'll go through how you can use targeting to find out whether your target audience is on Facebook or not, and whether you can reach them on Facebook is the much more important point in a few moments. But just recognize that targeting is absolutely vital if you want to succeed with Facebook in any kind of specialized market. Second thing that's vital is your offer. Now, I'm not talking there about what it is you have to promote or sell the thing people might buy downstream, whether that's a product you have or a high-value service you're selling. I'm not talking about that offer. What I'm talking about is the offer you're going to make them when you show them your Facebook ad that's going to motivate them to click on your ad, and then ideally, when they've clicked on your ad and gone to your website or wherever you send them, to take the action you want them to take. Now, I'll explain later about your overall marketing system and how usually that's to get them to sign up for emails from you, but you need a really strong offer. Now, of course, you also need an ad itself, the creative, the imagery of the ad and the copy, the text that goes around it. Now, in all honesty, I've found that if you have brilliant targeting and you're really showing your ads to the right people on Facebook and you have a great irresistible offer, then actually your ad creative doesn't have to be that brilliant. I've used some pretty basic ad creatives that have still worked very well simply because the offer has been excellent and the targeting has been really good. So don't worry too much if you're not a great copywriter. You can't... Ian, how come you've only got 108 people on the webinar? Do you find responses have dropped? I'll come back to that later, Rob. That's about normal for this size of webinar. So the ad creative, don't worry if you're not a great copywriter, you're not a great designer. It's not as important as the targeting and the offer. What is vital, though, is follow-up. Now, I'm sure you know in your business that whenever you meet new potential clients, whenever you come into contact with them, very few of them will buy from you the very first time they come into contact. So you'll need to have some form of follow-up. And it's exactly the same with Facebook advertising. It's great to get people to your website or your Facebook page, but you need some way of following up with them after that to regularly keep in touch, to keep adding value, building credibility, building trust, so that when the time is right, they'll think of you and they will buy from you. So you need a follow-up system. The final thing you need, the final critical success factor, is to refine and improve what you're doing. Very often you can start off with a Facebook ad that isn't profitable and isn't successful, but by delving into the details of it and removing the elements that aren't successful, for example, there might be one part of your target audience that's not responding very well, or you may be able to test two images against each other in your adverts. Very often you can improve it to the point where it is profitable by this refining and improving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of those 5 factors one by one and show you how you can get the best from each one. But before we go into that, I want to talk about the kind of elephant in the room that exists with Facebook advertising. And the big question is, does Facebook advertising actually work? Is there an ROI in it? Will it work for me? Does it work if your clients are corporate executives? Does it work if your clients are dentists or doctors? I've had all sorts of questions in asking about whether Facebook advertising will work for them. And the answer is that it works for many people, but it won't necessarily work for everyone. You have to do a little bit of research to check out whether it will work for you. I'm sure you've heard some kind of Facebook evangelists telling you that Facebook advertising works for everyone. Well, it doesn't. And I'm sure you've heard some naysayers saying Facebook advertising only works for business to business, for business to consumer, for example. It doesn't work for business to business. Well, that's a massive oversimplification. Facebook advertising reaches people. And if your customers are people, and of course all our customers are people, then it could well work. It's certainly working for Facebook. This is Facebook's recent revenues. So in Q4 2014, they made $3.594 billion in revenue purely from advertising. So it's working for Facebook, but the implication there is it must be working for some advertisers because they keep on paying Facebook. Now, of course, some people may be making mistakes and losing money on it, but the truth is, if Facebook advertising wasn't working for at least some advertisers, it would die out. The second implication is Facebook is doing absolutely everything in its power to keep those advertising revenues flowing in. And it's basically doing that by making its advertising platform more and more effective over time. So even if Facebook advertising hasn't worked for you in the past, it may well work for you in the future and now. The real key to it is you've got to be able to reach your target customers and clients, and then you have to be able to convert them into paying clients. Now, I can't talk for everyone about the ROI for Facebook and whether it will work exactly for you. I'll give you some hints as to how you can find out for yourself. But I can tell you a little bit about how Facebook advertising has worked for me. I can share my own numbers. And I can tell you my first success with Facebook ads actually came out a little bit by accident. Basically, I'd been running Facebook ads for a little while to get new subscribers to my website. But I was due to go on holiday. That's actually a picture Kathy took of me and the kids in front of the ship we were going on a cruise on. So we were going on a cruise ship, so I wasn't going to have any access to the internet, but I wanted to do a webinar to promote my Momentum Club program before we went on the cruise. As it turns out, I did not finish that webinar on time, so I had to change plans. So what I did instead was I started running a Facebook ad campaign where I offered my 5 simple marketing tweaks report as the offer on the Facebook ad. When people clicked on that, and if they subscribed, if they signed up for my free 5 simple marketing tweaks report, I offered my 30 days to a steady flow of leads and clients program to those subscribers for $97. And if they took up that, I offered them an extended trial of Momentum Club membership for those people who signed up for the 30-day program. So that was the idea, and that was quite easy for me to do. I set that up in less than half a day, got it running, and it was much easier for me to do than doing a full webinar because I just didn't manage to do it in time, and clearly I wasn't going to be able to run a webinar from a cruise ship. Now, as we were kind of sailing around various ports around the Mediterranean, I think that's us in Vigo, but as we were sailing around these ports and pulling in, I was checking my phone, and what I found was that the Facebook advertising was beginning to really work. So this is one of the images I used. It's a fairly simple Facebook ad saying, get my free report with 5 simple strategies, etc. Click here to get your free copy, and then a picture of me and a flip chart on it. What I found was I ran that advertising campaign for a couple of months. I wasn't on the cruise ship for a couple of months, but I kept it going when we came back. And I got 554 new subscribers. The average advertising spend was £1.37 per subscriber. It's about $2.06, so my ad spend is in pounds, my revenue is in dollars, so I have to kind of do an exchange rate thing. So I spent about $1,000. Out of that, 22 people bought the 30-day program at $97, so that's just over $2,000 in revenue, and they always bought within 5 days of me spending on the ads because it was a time-limited offer. So I kind of doubled my money within 5 days of each ad showing. And out of those 22 buyers, 4 of them joined Momentum Club at $97 a month each. So when you work that out, basically, I've not made a fortune from that, but I've basically doubled my money within the initial 5 days, and I'm then getting $97 a month from those 4 people every month on an ongoing basis. Now, obviously, Momentum Club is a subscription program. Not everyone stays forever. So my average life cycle of a Momentum Club member is 10 months. Now, I have to say that's much higher than the industry average. A lot of people have membership clubs and people only last about 3 months in them. My folks last on 10 months on average, often much longer. I probably have some people on the webinar who've been with me for years. But it kind of works out then, if you think of 10 months as an extended free trial, so it works out in total that $1,141 returned me somewhere over $6,000. It was kind of a 500%, 600% return on investment. Now, again, I have to make an important kind of warning here. Your numbers might be very different. In particular, the nature of my business these days is I have online products to sell, and they're pretty good value, $97 and $97 a month. It's not a massive expense, so it's much easier for people to buy early on. If you're a coach or you're a consultant or you sell some other form of high value service that's in the thousands of dollars and thousands of pounds, clearly it's going to take longer to build up the credibility and trust before someone's going to be ready to buy that much more expensive service from you. So you're not going to get such a fast return on investment, although you might get a much higher return on investment because your products and services are much more expensive. So I'm never one to take things just on trust. I thought that might be just a one-off, so I tried it again, and this time I ran a 5-month test. Now this time, rather than the 5 simple marketing tweaks report, I ran a promotion for my 21-word email that can get you more clients. Now that actually worked better because I got 2,844 new subscribers at 95 pence each, so about only 2/3 the cost that I was paying before. And that, I think, is because, well, we'll explain it later, but I think it's because the offer is more attractive. It seems simpler and quicker to get results from a 21-word email you can copy and paste rather than a report you have to read and apply to your own business. So I spent about $4,000. At the back of that, I promoted my Reignite program, and that was $7, so it was much, much cheaper than the 30-day program, but I got a lot more buyers. I got 199 buyers at $7 is $1,393, so I got about 1/3 of my ad spend back within 5 days. So with this program, I didn't get my ad spend back immediately, but a lot more people joined Momentum Club. So I got 40 people at $97 a month. That's about $4,000 a month. So obviously as a long-term investment, that one worked better for me. My subscribers were cheaper and I got more buyers. Even though I didn't get the immediate payback that I did before, I got more Momentum Club members who tend to be my best customers, who stick with me the longest, and we have the most fun together as well. So for me, that told me that yes, Facebook advertising could well work. Now again, a warning, your numbers might be very different to mine, and it's very, very dependent on your ability to find your ideal customers and clients, and of course your ability then to convert them into paying clients. The good news though is with Facebook advertising, you can actually test to see if it'll work with a fairly low budget. So if you're spending a couple of $100 or a couple of £100 on advertising, you should be able to get a couple of hundred, at least a few hundred clicks to your website. You should be able to get dozens upon dozens of people subscribing. And if you can see that lots of people are signing up for what it is you have to offer, that should be a good indication that your target clients are actually on there and you're beginning to get them to take action. So you don't have to spend a lot of money in order to know whether Facebook advertising will work for you. So let's go through, as I promised before, those critical success factors that will show you whether Facebook advertising will work for you and will make it work. And the first of those, as I said before, is, those are the 5. The first of them is targeting. So it's finding your target clients on Facebook. So when it comes to Facebook, there are really 3 different types of audience that you can target and you can show your adverts to. The first is an interests-based audience. So there you're showing your ads to people based on their interests, either what they've typed into their interests field or more usually the pages that they've liked on Facebook or some of their other activity like commenting on a page. So if you can find pages on Facebook that your ideal clients are likely to have liked, they don't all have to have liked it, but if enough of them like certain pages, you can target them with ads. The second type of audience is a custom audience, and 3 subtypes to that. You can upload to Facebook a customer list, so you can upload email addresses of your existing customers or your existing email subscribers, and you can then target ads at them. We'll see why you might want to do that in a short while. Facebook also gives you a little script that you can put on your website so that when people visit your website, even if they don't take any action, if they don't sign up, if they don't buy, the next time they're on Facebook, you can target them with adverts. Now, remember what I just said about follow-up and the fact that for most of us, we need to have multiple interactions with our potential clients before they'll be ready to buy. This can be a great way of getting people who visited your website once but then haven't come back to come back to your website, so you get those multiple interactions. You can also target people based if you've got a Facebook app and they do some kind of activity on that app. Now, I suspect that very few people on the webinar have a Facebook app, so I won't go into that. Dan's just asked, do you pay per click or is it per lead or purchase? You can pay per click. There's lots of different options, Dan. I optimize per website conversion. What that means is I pay for the number of 1,000 people my advert has been shown to, but I tell Facebook to show my ad primarily to the people most likely to sign up to get my emails based on who's done that before, based on one of these pixels that you put on your website. That's a bit more advanced, but basically it's optimized bidding. Right. The final type of audience that there is a lookalike audience. So a lookalike audience is based on a custom audience, and what you're essentially doing is you're telling Facebook, take my custom audience, so it could be a customer list, for example, of your existing customers, and you're saying, look on Facebook and find me the users of Facebook that most look like my current customer list or my current website visitors or my current email subscribers. You can do a very narrow one for the top 1% of Facebook users in a country, or you can broaden it to the top 5%. I would suggest going narrow. And what Facebook does is it looks up all the things it knows about your current customers or whoever you've uploaded in the custom audience. So it'll go based on their demographics, the pages they've liked, their interests, all that sort of stuff. And it'll find the other users on Facebook that most look like them and start showing your adverts to them. So if you do have a good, you'll need a good sized customer list or email list to upload to be statistically relevant to be able to make that judgment. But if you do have that, this can be a very good way of getting very targeted targeting on Facebook. Now you can overlay that with demographics. So across any of these, you can overlay people in certain geographies, You can select people by age, by their sex, by behaviours, like whether they use mobile phones or not. And in the US, you can also use purchase information. So you can use, do they make retail purchases? Do they buy online? What's their average household income? What's their net worth? And you can separate those into bands and target into that. You can also target on things like job titles if people have typed their job title into Facebook. So there's a lot of other options. And of course, you can mix and match. You can say, show my ads to an audience that looks the most like my current customers, but only the ones who are interested in these sort of pages, for example, so you can narrow it down. So you have quite a lot of targeting options. Glyn says, can you target clients' problems, e.g. people with anxiety? Only if they make it publicly visible, Glenn. So what I mean by that is if there are any existing pages on Facebook or groups or associations that have pages on Facebook that are for people who have anxieties and they've liked those pages, then you'll be able to target them. Or if the anxieties are focused on a specific set of demographics. So if there's a very high preponderance of newlyweds, for example, you can tell whether someone's newlywed or has newly become engaged, or people between the ages of 20 and 24 or whatever it might be, based in a certain location. But often you're going to be going based on interests. Because usually for most of us, when we're starting with Facebook ads, we haven't got a massive customer list we can upload and get a lookalike of, etc. We might be able to do that later, but often we'll start off based on interests. So the key task that makes your targeting work is that you have to find the right interests on Facebook for people. Charles says, can you target members of groups? No, you can't. There was a way you could do it in the past that was a little bit illegal by scraping IDs using bits of software, but Facebook kind of clamped down on that. David says, have you run identical campaigns on Facebook and LinkedIn, and what were the results? I have, in fact. That first, the campaign you saw with the 21-word email, I ran that campaign on both Facebook and on LinkedIn. Now with LinkedIn, like Facebook, you can target on job title, you can target also on industry and things like that on LinkedIn. It tends to be more accurate in the targeting on LinkedIn, but the advertising platform is much, much worse. You can't do optimized bidding, you can't do a whole bunch of stuff, you can't split test and things. And the clicks are much more expensive. So the minimum cost per click is usually something in the $2 to $3 range, perhaps even higher. So I found when I tested the exact same ads on both Facebook and LinkedIn, I was getting leads somewhere between a fifth to a tenth the price on Facebook as I was on LinkedIn. Now, you could certainly argue that it's a more targeted lead and a better lead on LinkedIn, but if it costs 10 times as much, I was prepared to go with Facebook. So LinkedIn is a perfectly valid option. It's very good, but do be aware that the lead cost is very high on LinkedIn. Morton said, what's the minimum number of customers on your list that makes it viable? Honestly, Morton, I don't know. I would say it's got to be in the thousands. That's why I've never uploaded just a customer list. I've always used a subscriber list of, 5, 10,000 or something like that. Roy says, when you upload your customers, does Facebook find them on Facebook? Yes, it does, Roy. What it does, you upload the email addresses and it searches for people who've registered with Facebook with the exact same email address. So it won't find them all, but it will find many of them. I found from most of the people that I've spoken to who've uploaded a customer list or an email subscriber list, what it's done is it's found between 40 to 60% of them. I think the last time I checked my list, it found about 55% of my email subscribers who were on Facebook with the exact same email address. Now, obviously, some of them will be on Facebook with a different email address. It couldn't find them, but it found 55% of them. How big's your email list use? Yeah, I would say it needs to be in the thousands. Can I upload my LinkedIn contact list? Roy said. You could. However, you do have to have the right permissions. Part of the Facebook permissions is you should only be advertising to people using a custom list if they've kind of agreed to that. So usually what you want is on your website terms and conditions, for example, on your cookie policy and your privacy policy, you do need to say that when people give you their email address, you could use them for targeted advertising and regular emails. So things like if you buy an email list or you download a list from LinkedIn, you could do it. No one would know, but you would technically be breaking Facebook's terms and conditions. It's a little bit careful. Kim is not hearing the audio. Sorry, Kim. Yes, it does come with audio, but you won't be hearing that. How does the demographic audience of Facebook compare with LinkedIn? Adrian, I would guess there are slightly less. There are many, many more. So there are 10 times as many people, over 10 times as many people, I think, using Facebook as there are using LinkedIn. So there are more people on there. It's obviously slightly less skewed towards senior executives. I will show you in a second how to check the demographic profile. So if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is to move on. Christina says, if I upload my list, are my clients' emails spammed? Absolutely not. So if you upload your list to Facebook, the first thing is you can upload the list and never send any adverts to them. Facebook never sends anything to them. All it does is it checks to see whether they're on Facebook. So you can do a quick check to see whether your sort of customers are on Facebook by the percentage that are on there. Secondly, you can target your adverts at them. So, for example, if someone is on your email list and they've stopped opening your emails, you could do Facebook adverts to try and get them to come back and open your emails, is one valid use of it. Facebook will never send them anything other than adverts when you specifically ask, and it will only show Facebook ads from you. It won't share that with anyone else, and it won't email them anything. What if you're just starting with a very small list? Would Facebook still work based on interest only? Absolutely, Paul. I recommend if you're just starting out, you've got a small list, start based on interests. Yvonne's got a list of 16,000, so that's... if someone has given it to you, that's probably not quite ethical, Yvonne, because they haven't signed up to be advertised to. So I probably wouldn't go with that. You can upload it to see whether they're on Facebook. What you could do is you could upload it on Facebook and then create a lookalike audience from it. So Facebook wouldn't be targeting with them and their information would never be used, but Facebook would be able to find other people who are like them based on demographics, etc. So I guess that would be ethical, but you wouldn't be advertising to them because they haven't given their permission for that. So I say the best and the fastest way, Paul, is to use interest-based targeting, which I'm going to go on to. I am going to move on because we are going to run out of time. So if you want to use interest-based targeting, especially if you're just starting out, the first thing to do is obviously write down who the target clients are that you want to focus your Facebook ads on. So who are the key buyers and the decision makers or the influencers, and obviously pick the ones who are likely to be on Facebook. So, if your target clients aren't computer literate and don't use a computer, you're probably not going to find them on Facebook. If their work is done on a computer, so if they happen to use computers a lot, if they've got discretion over their use of time. So, for example, a sales manager is often out in the field all the time working with the salespeople. They don't necessarily use a computer all the time. They might, it depends on the individual sales manager. Workers in an office aren't necessarily allowed to use Facebook or social media during the day, whereas a small business owner can usually do what on earth they want because they've got discretion over the use of their time. So have a little think about who's likely to be the easiest to find on Facebook, who is a buyer or decision maker for your types of services, and focus on them. And then, of course, think through their big problems and challenges and goals and aspirations in the areas you can help them with, because those are the things that they're likely to be interested in finding out more about and you can focus your ads on. Once you've identified who you're going to focus on out of your customer base, the first step is to brainstorm the factors that might indicate they could be one of those people. So in other words, you're going to make a list of things that they might like on Facebook that would indicate an interest in what you're promoting. So it could be there are experts and thought leaders in your field that they might be followed. So let's say you were a leadership coach. It could be that an executive or an HR person interested in leadership who might hire you as a leadership coach, it could well be that they're interested in the field of leadership. So they might like people on Facebook like Marshall Goldsmith or John Cotter or John Maxwell, well-known names in the field of leadership. In fact, I'll just jump over to Facebook right now. We can have a quick look at that. I can get over here. So if we just went onto Facebook, if I look at... So John Maxwell is a well-known kind of leadership type guru. If I just search for his Facebook page, give me a list of things here. There he is. He's a public figure. And I can click on that. I'll get his Facebook page. But you can see there that 1.368 million people like his page. So that kind of opens up your targeting to a lot of people who are interested in leadership. Another alternative to that is customer associations. So, for example, if you're targeting dentists, usually they're members of professional associations, the British Dental Association, for example. If that association has a Facebook page, it could well be that the people you're targeting will like that page. If someone likes the Facebook page of the British Dental Association, they're much more likely to be a dentist than a plumber, for example. So the targeting isn't perfect, but it gives you a good clue as to where they might be. It could be there are certain books or magazines or publications they might read. Those books, magazines or publications might well have a Facebook page, and again, the people you're targeting might well like that. Or it could be events that they go to, it could be tools they use, or it could be your competitors. So if you're a sales trainer, for example, if someone likes Huthwaite, Sandler sales training, etc., it at least shows they're in the market for sales training. You've probably got a job to do to shift them away from the ones they like to you, but at least shows them they could be interested. Or it could be there are websites very similar to yours, and so people writing blogs on similar topics that have a big following on Facebook. So what you're then going to do is you're going to go to those pages. So this is John Maxwell's page, for example. As I showed you before, there are 1.3 million people following, and just bookmark that page. You're probably going to like it as well. I'll explain why in a second. But bookmark that page, write it down on a short list because it's got a decent number of followers in the leadership field if you were a leadership coach. If you're a sales trainer and you're targeting sales and marketing executives, maybe they might like the sales and marketing executives page on there. If you're targeting photographers, maybe they like the British Journal of Photography. Again, 446,000 people like that. If they're salespeople, maybe they like Salesforce.com, a tool that many sales leaders use. Maybe they like that page. So what you're doing is you're kind of going around and trying to find an initial shortlist of the things on Facebook that your target clients might be interested in. And you're going to shortlist the biggest ones, the ones with the most fans. What you're then going to do is you're then going to find similar and related pages to that original set of ideas. So say, for example, you're a sales trainer and you were targeting people who liked well-known speakers and experts in the field of sales, like Jeffrey Gitomer. What you would do is you'd go to Jeffrey Gitomer's page, you would like that page, and I think you can see at the bottom there, when you like a page, it shows you a list of other pages that you might like that it thinks are similar to those pages. Now, it's not perfect, so I'm just going to go back over here to Chrome, and there was John Maxwell. I'll unlike John Maxwell for a second and like him again, and you'll see here it just drops down some similar pages. So it's suggested I might like Stephen Covey, Wayne Dwyer, Nick Vujicic, Darren Hardy, etc. Now, what I might do is look across this and think, well, I'm a leadership coach. I want people who are interested in leadership. Stephen Covey he doesn't anymore, obviously, but talked a lot about leadership. I don't know Wayne Dwyer, some of these guys so much. Bill Gates is probably not someone. He's probably a general business person that other people are interested in. So some of these, like Success Magazine is probably too generic. It's not enough leadership oriented. Others of them, as you go through, I guess that's leadership. Network marketing, probably not. That's not really a leadership thing. So some of them seem to be leadership related. Others don't. So you would select which ones of those by going through them, just using your own common sense, which ones are also related leadership pages that you might be able to target. Now, another great way of doing that is to use what's known as graph search. Now, graph search is where you type in pages liked by people who like, and then whatever that page was, and that will show you the other pages that people who like that page like as well. So I'll do that experiment. Now, by the way, you need to have your language set to US English to make this work. You have to go to your settings, and rather than, if you look at their English US, there are some other options like Pirate English, which will do things in funny. Pirate UK English, I originally had it set to, but it needs to be US English, otherwise this doesn't work. So if you just go up here, I'm just going to cancel that for a second, and type in pages liked by people who like John Maxwell, and you'll notice it's already suggesting that search. If I click on that, it will show me a list of related pages to that it thinks are similar, and it said Jack Canfield, Donald Trump, Frank Kern. So some of them are, some of them aren't. People that might be related to leadership as we go down there, and it'll give you a big long list of pages it thinks are related. The further you go down, the less related many of them are, but basically they're pages that Facebook isn't analysing the page, it's just telling you that the people who like John Maxwell's page also like these pages. So it could be that they're in the field of leadership as well because similar people like them. So what you're going to do is you're going to add those to your shortlist to come up with a big long list. So Athela said, my target clients are dementia care providers. Yeah, so you could look for those care providers to see if they have web pages. How many would you shortlist? I would have dozens. Peter says, stop giving so many sales references away. Peter O'Donoghue, perhaps. I don't know. Hi, Peter. So I would add as many as you can. Your success at this, your success at finding the right people, is going to depend on the work, how thorough your targeting is. So really go overboard on this, I would say. The time you invest in this and making a really long shortlist, as it were, will be repaid because you'll be able to find the right people that you find. So Pages IT managers might like. Dave, I would look at the big IT suppliers like IBM, the consultants like Accenture, some of the big hardware stuff, HP, etc. There are probably also experts in IT strategy and people like that who you can find them. So if you know, I remember when I was consulting 20 years ago, it was N. Venkatraman was an IT strategy guy. So if he has a web page anymore, if he's still around doing IT strategy, then maybe if people like his page, it indicates they could well be an IT manager. Yes, it is Peter O'Donoghue. Hi, Peter. Hi from Cardiff. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going to continue with this. So make quite a long shortlist, but the next thing to do is to sanity check them, because things are not always what they seem on Facebook. So what you want to do is to go to, in the Ad Manager section of Facebook, down the left-hand side, so click on Ad Manager on your options, and then you'll see this set of options here. Go to Audience Insights, and from Audience Insights, you're able to pick an existing audience and find out information about it, get insights on it. So you can either use one of your own custom audiences that you've uploaded, or you can put in one of those interests. So if you just see this this section here, just so you can see it, if you just type in interests to that section there, like for example John Maxwell or something like that, anyone you might be targeting, or it could be Sales and Executive Association. Firstly, if it doesn't come up there, it indicates the page might not be big enough, or Facebook might not allow you to target it, and that sometimes does happen for the smaller pages. But if it does come up, it allows you to see insights about that page. It allows you to see the demographics and things like that. So for example, I think this is John Maxwell's page I got the insights of, and this is all of his global audience of people who like, it's English-speaking countries, so United States, United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, I missed South Africa, etc. But you'll see that John Maxwell has a primarily female-oriented audience and a slightly older audience. If we look at this here, it's kind of skewed. The grey thing is the normal population on Facebook. So John's audience is slightly older, which you'd expect for a leadership person because you tend not to be interested in leadership early on in your career so much. You can also look at the top countries that these people are for. This is Seth Godin, the marketing guru's page. And you'll notice there that Seth's top people are in the US, obviously, because he's based in the US, he speaks English. He's also got Canada, the UK, Australia, quite a normal profile. Now, the reason I suggest sanity checking here is sometimes you'll see unnatural profiles for some people. So I'm not going to name this business guru, but this is a well-known business guru who has a couple of million fans on his page. But you'll notice that while he has a lot of fans from the US, he doesn't have in his top 10 fans UK or Canada or any countries like that you'd expect. Instead on his top 10 is Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal. Now obviously there are big populations in those countries, but if he doesn't have, he's an English-speaking business guru that doesn't have the UK or Canada as one of his top, there's a bit of a suspicion I have there that he has been buying fans, in particular from Myanmar, with greater than the normal percentage from there by 1,533%. So he's basically outsourced and bought fans to make it look as if he's got an awful lot of fans and is very popular. So I would be very wary about targeting that particular person's fans because I think he might be buying fans. Now, the other things you can look at in terms of audience insights, for the US data, you can't look at this outside the US data, but for the US part of their audience who like their page, you can look at household income, for example. I think this is Seth Godin's again, so it's a slightly skewed towards the higher household income. So going back to, I think, one of the questions you asked earlier, I'm trying to think who it was who asked the question. Oh, good heavens. Who asked the question about can I get the right people? I can't remember who it was, but someone was asking about Will I be able to find, for example, executives on here? Well, one of the things you can correlate is, does that audience I'm targeting have a high household income? You can also look at their retail spending, their online purchases, or the sort of things that they're actually spending money on, and is it higher than normal? You'll see these people, although the spend isn't massive on business purchases, it is 10%, 126% higher than normal on business purchases. So that might be quite a good, I think again this is Seth Godin's audience, so that might be a good sign. The other thing you can look at is job titles. So I think for this one, this was the page of the British Dental Association. So you'll see from the demographics on there that obviously, as you'd expect from dentists, they have a higher than normal percentage of people with graduate qualifications, and a hugely higher than normal percentage of them are in the healthcare and medical sector. But you could look for people who are in management, for example, if you wanted to get executives, and you could combine that with the average, the household income being particularly high, to indicate that this was an audience of high potential people for you who probably worked in senior executive roles. You can also target companies that they work for and job titles and stuff like that. Oh, it was Ethel asking about dementia care providers, yeah. So there's lots of stuff you can use to try and target the right people. The end result of doing all that, and I'm going to move on to get some of the other 5 success factors. The end result of doing that is you'll end up with a short list of interest that you've validated, that you can show your adverts to, that will be indicative of them being potential clients, because they'll be interested. You've selected the interest based on what your potential clients are likely to be interested in, and you've validated the demographics to make sure it kind of matches with the expected demographics of your target audience. So as I say, I've spent a long time on targeting there because I think it's very important for the sort of businesses we're in. Now, we are coming up on 10 minutes to the hour. I hope you don't mind if I overrun. If you have to go on the hour, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, you can watch the recording afterwards, but we had an awful lot of questions in and I was trying to answer them as I went along. So hope that's okay. I'm going to move on next to the next step in the success factors, which is creating an irresistible offer. So, as I say, when we're talking about creating an irresistible offer, we're not talking about what you have to sell at the end of the day. We're talking about the thing that's going to get people to click your ad. And that's often known in the marketing world as a lead magnet. So, if you think back to the ad I ran for my 21-word email, what I was offering there wasn't my services as a coach or my products that they could buy. I was offering them a free copy of my 21-word email that can get you more clients. So when people were interested in that, they would click on that advert to get that 21-word email. It's a kind of copy and paste template. They would go to a simple landing page that said, click here for free instant access. They would put their name and their email address in. It would then send them to where they could download or get a copy of the free 21-word email. And I'd then follow up with a variety of follow-up emails over time, aiming to add more value, etc., etc. So that's the basic sequence people are going to go through. Now, you can have that landing page on Facebook itself. In my testing, it's no more valuable and no cheaper to have it on Facebook than it is to have it on your own website. So it's much easier to have it on your own website. So that's... Grob said, Ian, when I like a page, my Facebook doesn't bring up related pages. Yeah, Facebook is a bit funny. In that case, just use the pages liked by. You can also scroll down a bit and see if there are any other pages that page likes. So if that individual page likes those pages. But try switching your language to US English. It might only work in that one. And drop me an email afterwards if it doesn't work afterwards. Terrell said, I'm just going to go back to targeting for a second. Terrell said he's interested in ways to target B2B people, or job titles or ways of finding business owners of small to medium businesses wanting to move to connecting with larger businesses. Actually, Terrell, when you're doing Facebook advertising, there's actually a category of advertising business owners and managers and employees. You can actually say owners. I personally go primarily by the interests of the things a business owner, a professional like a consultant or a coach would be interested in. But you can specify that they're a business owner. You could specify if they're an owner of a small to medium business, you could probably specify a household income or a net worth that might be reasonably high. But I would go for the sort of things that business owners are interested in. So maybe they like, I keep forgetting the name of the guy, the one that wrote... The E-Myth, Michael Gerber. For example, maybe if they're into that and they're thinking about improving their business, maybe they like Michael Gerber, people like that. Maybe they like the Federation of Small Businesses here in the UK. So you have to do some brainstorming based on the sort of things that your potential clients are interested in. Carla said, any preference on squeeze page templates? As simple as possible. I just use lead pages. ClickFunnels is fine. Any template is fine. Usually from a Facebook ad, a simple template is the best. And I'll come back to that in a second. So you want to use a lead magnet. For those of you who don't know what a lead magnet is, a lead magnet is something that's going to motivate your potential clients to click the ad. It's something valuable for them. So in my case, it was a free copy of an email or a free report they could get. You want that lead magnet to build your relationship because you've given them something good and useful. You want it to demonstrate your credibility because it's helped them achieve things in the area that you might want to coach them or help them with later. It identifies them as being interested. So if someone has downloaded your free copy of the sales meeting checklist to get the most from sales meetings, the chances are they're interested in improving their sales. That makes them a good lead for a sales trainer, for example. Again, someone who's interested in learning how to launch a new team and a checklist for improving the team launch meeting is probably interested in teamwork and team building. And usually those things that you give away are short reports, the checklists, the videos, they can be anything. So the original one I used for my first Facebook advertising campaign was my 5 simple marketing tweaks that'll get you more clients report. It's a PDF report, pretty simple. My 21-word email that'll get you more clients was better because it was shorter, and rather than being a report that people had to read and then interpret and then apply in their business, it was something people could copy and paste and use pretty simpler. So there's that kind of instant gratification. You can use a checklist if you want. This is a good one I found looking to prepare this webinar, an 11-point perfect sales funnel checklist. That sounds good to me if you're interested in building a sales funnel. In the more consumer world, there's a short video series that you can get there on 4 simple steps to stress-free homemaking. Or it can just be a list. This is one from Digital Marketer. If you're struggling to come up with ideas for blog posts, if you're a blogger, then a list of 212 blog post ideas is a really good thing for you. Or, of course, it can be a CD. This is one from a Brooklyn tax accountant who gives away an audio CD on the 10 biggest tax mistakes that small businesses make. Quick guidelines for what makes an effective lead magnet. You want it to have specific, obvious value. In particular, remember that Facebook users are usually casually browsing, so they're quickly skimming. If they see your ad and they see an offer for your lead magnet, they're not going to go through all sorts of mental heavy lifting to figure out whether they want what it is you have to offer or not. So don't give it an obscure title. Don't hide the value. Make it really clear what they'll get from it. Otherwise, they'll just skim on past it. Ideally, you want immediate gratification. So, a 21-week training course could be real high value, but people aren't necessarily going to want to get it. They want some immediate thing. So the instant gratification, for example, of the email template, people can copy and paste. So templates, checklists, things people can pick up and use immediately make great lead magnets. Obviously, it's got to address an important problem or goal that's on their minds. People can have many, many problems. If you've got time to talk to them, you can surface some of the problems they're not thinking about and get them thinking about them. But when they're just scanning Facebook, it has to be a problem or a goal that's already on their mind. It has to be a big, important one for them. Obviously, you want it to take them one step on the path of working for you. So make sure it's in line with what you're aiming to sell them downstream. So what I mean by that is if you're a sales trainer and you do retail sales training, corporate sales training, stuff like that, but what you're actually doing your ads for and what you want to sell is your corporate sales training course, then don't do a lead magnet how to improve your retail sales calls, because it'll attract the wrong sort of people. And obviously, I hope it goes without saying, it not only has to have high perceived value and look good, it has to have high actual value. Whatever you offer them has to work. If you give them 5 simple marketing tweaks, they really have to be simple and they have to help improve their marketing. So make sure it works. So, Don's asked what services I'm using for email marketing. I use ActiveCampaign because it's got some quite advanced email marketing features at a quite low cost that anyone can get into. You don't have to use ActiveCampaign, but it works really well. I like it. So the end result from your lead magnet, your offer, is you have something to offer with your ads that are going to motivate clients to click those ads to go and get that great thing. So let's look now at the actual ad itself, the creative of the ad. Now, there are 2 different types of Facebook ad. The first type of Facebook ad is a right column ad. Now, you know these are adverts because there's pretty much nothing else but adverts appears in that right-hand column. So people know they're an ad and they get quite a low click-through rate. The other sorts of ads are ads that appear in people's news feeds. So those are ads that appear alongside all the posts and the blog posts and stuff like that of their friends and other people they're connected to or the groups they're members of. Now, newsfeed ads tend to work best. You get a much higher click-through rate on newsfeed ads, but you have to be careful, because if you're putting something in someone's newsfeed, it has to be valuable. It can't be an overt sales pitch, or you're really going to annoy people. So the newsfeed ads that tend to work the best are ones that I say stand out yet blend in. Now, that's a tricky mix to have. What I mean by blend in is it shouldn't be an overt promotion. Buy this, do this, go and spend some money here, because people will object to that being in their newsfeed. They don't want to be pitched at. It has to offer them something of value. In this case, it's a webinar, I think, on the 6 pillars of a profitable website. On the second one, it's the 7-figure winning formula with a kind of sales funnel drawn on it. Now, so those things offer something of value. They're not just pure sales pitches, but they stand out. In the one case, it stands out because it's a hand-drawn image, which probably looks different to what people are seeing in their newsfeed. In the other, it's because it's a very attractive image with an attractive young lady on it who either is an aspirational image, it's Marie Forleo, isn't it? It's an attractive aspirational image for the people it's being targeted at. So with your newsfeed ads, you want to try and mimic the best of what appears naturally in the newsfeed. So again, bright colours, attractive images, while still offering value. There's a kind of chalkboard there. Again, that's going to look different to what people are seeing in their newsfeed. It's going to get their attention. And here's a picture of just 2 dudes talking on a stage. Again, it's looking a bit different, but it blends in a bit in the sense that, you know, it's not a blatant advert. Or here's one of by the same guys, the 5-minute marketing guys, of drawing on a whiteboard. So these kind of stand out because they're interesting images, so people pay attention to them and then they read the things around them. Now you can appeal. Here's one that just looks like a selfie, for example. So again, people are going to look at that and think, oh, who's that in the selfie? So it attracts their attention. Now, one piece of advice I'd give you, as you're looking through your own newsfeed, and it's well worthwhile liking the pages of the people your customers would like, so you can see which adverts they're being targeted with on Facebook, and keep a file of screenshots of ads that you think are good, that would attract your attention, so you can learn from them and get inspiration from them. So now you can actually target different types of appeal for different sorts of people. So this is quite an aspirational one. This looks very much like a high-tech Apple-y type person. This is from the Rise to the Top guy. I can't forget his name now. But he's kind of appealing to a happy, aspirational, live life on your own terms type of person. This one, a picture of gold bars, is obviously appealing to the monetary motive, as is this one with a picture of a dollar bill, is appealing to people who want to kind of make more money. Now, the interesting thing is the same guy with the same webinar has a very different advert where he's there appealing to people who are more interested in being part of the crowd and more interested in people than they are in money. So he's essentially selling the same thing but with 2 different ads to appeal to 2 very different types of people who might want his service. It was David Siteman Garland. Oh, thanks, Hannah. I didn't realise it was him. Okay. I was about to say that, but then I thought, no, it's someone else. I must be thinking of a different one. Anyway, so those are the different ads. Make them stand out. So have attractive images or different images with bold graphics, but make sure the advert itself has value and offers something of value. Otherwise, people are going to object to that ad in their newsfeed. Now, when it comes then to the landing page, I would advise keeping it simple. So I split test 2 different landing pages for my 21-word email. The one on the left got a 40% opt-in rate. The one on the right only got a 34% opt-in rate. Now, the one on the right has a lot of good things on opt-in pages. It's got over at the top, it's got some lovely social proof of all the places I've written. It's got some people saying, Paul, you're on there, I think, Paul Hatcher. It's got some people saying some lovely things about the 21-word email report. It's got the details of it and what you'll get. And it got a worse opt-in rate. And the reason is, by the time people clicked, I think, on the Facebook ad, they were already ready to grab the 21-word email. They didn't want any fussing around. They didn't need to read any of that. It just delayed them. This one worked the best because people just said, oh yeah, that's what I want. They clicked the button and then they got their 21-word email. So the end result of an ad is obviously you get an ad that motivates target clients to click, and you get a landing page that gets them to sign up. Now, I've talked Yeah, Paul's just said there it worked. Christina said, do people respond better to positive emotion pictures or pictures with negative emotion? That's a really great question, Christina. I don't know the answer to that. I have always used positive emotion pictures. I have found that blog posts and emails that call out negative emotions, are you making these mistakes, for example, they work well to get traffic and visitors. But I think the people who get the best target clients and buyers and people interested in a lead magnet are more positive things, offering solutions. So 5 simple marketing tweaks, a 21-word email you can get better results with. I personally like, I've written about this a couple of times before, I personally, even if it did work better to engender negative emotion and to tell people they're broken and they need fixing, I much prefer to go lead with people's strengths and lead them on to getting better things. It's just my kind of preference, I think. Yeah, Paul says positively always inspires people, I think. It's just, it's just a personal preference for me. I think negative could work. Alan Weiss says that anyone can solve problems, by focusing on the negative, but only a few people can help open up new opportunities. And that means by focusing on problems and on the negative, you may well be commoditizing yourself. Now, of course, you may be in the sort of business where it just necessarily is a negative emotion. If people have got some kind of, medical problem, etc., perhaps you can try and get the positive emotion of moving away from it. I don't know. It's really up to you. I try to use positive all the time. Now, we talked there about getting people to sign up for follow-up, and really the fortune is in the follow-up. That's the one thing that a lot of people are missing when they do Facebook advertising. They send people to their website, they send people to their Facebook page, they might like their page, they might do something on the website, but unless you're able to follow up after that, people aren't going to buy, because in any market, and especially for high-value services and products, it takes multiple contacts for people to buy from you. It might take 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, but it takes more than one, and for that you've got to be able to follow up. And the only realistic way online of following up on a regular basis is to use email. Now, one way to know that it works is to look at the homepages of social media gurus. So Mary Smith is known as the Queen of Facebook, but if you go to Mary's homepage, the thing she prioritizes is to sign up for her emails. Facebook and the social media icons just appear there. So the most important thing for Mary is that you sign up for her emails, because that's how she's able to follow up with you. Similarly, if you go to Melanie Duncan, who does Pinterest, she's got that big box. If you click the big box, it opens up and you put in your email address. She doesn't even have a Pinterest button on there. Vivica von Rosen, who gives you LinkedIn tips and tricks, obviously gets you to sign up for emails with that big box there. So you would need people to sign up, but you also need to have some kind of structured follow-up. I'm going to give you a really quick introduction to 3 different follow-up systems or funnels for selling high-value products and services. So the first follow-up funnel is basically if someone clicks on your ad, they come to your website and they subscribe to get emails from you, all you're doing is you're sending them to a thank you page where they're able to download what you offer them for free, like your 5 simple marketing tweaks, your 21-word email, or whatever your equivalent is, they can download it. And then you just send them regular high-value emails over time that build credibility, that build trust, and they don't come across as too pushy. You have calls to action in each one that might promote a product if that's what you're doing. If you're a coach, the call to action might be for a free strategy session with you. Or if you're a trainer, it might be to talk to you about your training courses, whatever it might be. You send these regular high-value emails. And it's very easy to set this up. All you need is for people to subscribe to your emails, and you just broadcast to them week in, week out with more high value. Easy to set up. The downside of this system is it does leave money on the table for people who are ready to move faster, who would move faster if you gave them a little bit of a nudge. So the second funnel that you can use, the second follow-up system, is what I call an early high-value webinar. So what happens here is you're focusing on new subscribers who are already ready to buy something high value fast. There'll be a very small percentage of them. Most people will need warming up, but you can get some people and you can build credibility and trust with them early. So when someone subscribes, what you do is on your thank you page, you offer them a free webinar. Now that could be a live free webinar like this one, or it could be an automated free webinar. The people who sign up for the free webinar, you send them some warm-up emails to get them to show up to the webinar. When they show up on the webinar, you do a really great webinar, and at the end of the webinar, you promote your product, or you promote a strategy session call. You say, I do 5 strategy sessions, a month. If you want to do a strategy session with me, where I'll show you, we'll review how you're doing on what we've covered in the webinar. I'll work with you to create a roadmap for how you can overcome your roadblocks, etc., etc. At the end, you can then decide: do you want to work with me to help you achieve those goals, or do you want to try it yourself? So you can do a strategy session at the back end, or whatever you want to do. And then whether they bought or whether they didn't, you then send them your regular high value emails. So with the regular high value emails, you're catching all the people you caught before with the kind of long-term relationship builder, but you've got this little step built in here for people who are ready to move a bit faster. And because you're doing a webinar, you're able to build credibility and trust quite fast because it's very personal. You're giving a lot of content on the webinar. So it's possible to get those people who are interested ready to get onto a strategy session, a call with you about working together. So that can work very well for people who sell high value services by doing a webinar early on in your relationship with people. Now, another model you can use is known as the Tripwire Core Product Model, and this is the model I used for my 5 simple marketing tweaks and the 21-word email that we saw earlier in the case study. So people subscribed after my Facebook ad. After they subscribed, on the thank you page, I offered them a low-cost product, either the 30 Days to a Steady Flow of Leads and Clients program, which wasn't so low cost, it's $97, or $7 for the Reignite program. The people who bought that program get an offer of the main product, in this case, membership of Momentum Club. Well, if they didn't buy, they got a short series of follow-up reminders because you've only got the first 4 or 5 days to buy it in. And whether you bought or not, you got the normal slow burn emails. So what you're doing there is, because you have a lowish cost product or service here, it's not such a high bar. We're not talking about thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds to hire you as a coach or a consultant or a lawyer. So paying $7 is fairly easy. Quite a lot of people are going to be willing to do that. So you can bring on board a decent number of buyers. Once they've bought that and they experience how good your product is, then they may well want to buy your more expensive product. They may well later, because they've had a great experience with your more expensive product, want to hire you as a coach, as a consultant, etc. So this works really well if you have products and services, products you can offer early on that aren't really expensive and don't need so much of a mental leap. You don't need to build so much credibility and trust before people will be ready to buy. And the process of them then consuming that product builds further credibility and trust. Now, this obviously needs more automation, a membership site and stuff like that, but it can be a very successful model as well. And it can be one that gives you confidence because you get quite a fast return on investment. The high value webinar and the long-term relationship builder are probably going to give you the biggest return on investment. This one's probably going to give you the fastest return on investment if you have those products and services. Now, the end result of all that is a repeatable marketing system that builds credibility and trust and wins you clients. Now, we're now going to move on to the final success factor. Oh, Rob's interrupted. Are you noticing a drop in email opt-in rates? No, not really, Rob, but it really depends on the type of person. Sorry, the type of offer you make. I'm changing the offers up all the time, but I haven't really noticed much of a drop. If you show I showed that same ad on Facebook for 5 months, and just used 2 different images with it. And it still worked after 5 months. And I didn't really notice. By the end of the 5 months, I began to notice a bit of a drop off. So I've stopped running it now, and I'm going to refresh it with something. But it can take quite a long time. Kim's shouting at me and saying, Ian, hiya. So, the final success factor is to refine your way to success. So you do this in a couple of ways. One way you can refine your way to success is to use Facebook's reporting. So this is an excerpt from a Facebook report from that 5 tweaks campaign I did early on. Now, I don't know if you can quite notice there, but I'm reporting by country. And one country, Canada, had a much higher cost per website subscriber, per website action, than the other countries, almost double what the other countries were averaging at. So obviously one thing I did over time was I took Canada out. I stopped promoting and advertising to Canada. Sorry, Canada, but I stopped showing my adverts there because they were essentially costing more to get just the same results. So I just focused them on the other countries. Another thing you can do is you can focus on age ranges. So I found, for example, that my best age ranges were the 45 and above age range. I thought, I had an idea in my mind that I would appeal to really young people and they'd all be excited by what I had to offer. But it turns out that my best cost per website action was actually with the 65 plus and the 55 to 64 group. So that put a big burst in my balloon. So you can use those reports that Facebook shows you to show you out of your initial ad campaign where you're getting the best results, and therefore you can refine it and continue to get better results. So I said that my average cost per subscriber for the 21-word email campaign was 95 pence. It wasn't as good as that early on, but by refining it over time and cutting out the people who I wasn't getting the best results with, the average came out at 95 pence. It's actually less than that for my best people and higher than that for the worst people, but I stopped showing it to the worst people. You can also split test different ads. I had a really weird result with this. These are the two ad images. I used the exact same copy, but I used these two different ad images. One was a picture of an email, and one was a picture of me saying, copy this 21-word email that can get you more clients, in a thought bubble. Now, as it turned out, in the US and Canada, the performance of both those ads was pretty much identical. In the UK and Australia and New Zealand, the second ad with a picture of me performed better, statistically much, much better. In Europe, I also targeted English-speaking people in European countries. The first ad did better. So for some reason, people in the UK, Australia and New Zealand like a picture of me. For some reason, people in Europe don't like a picture of me. I will never know why, but all I know is I stopped showing the picture of me to people in Europe, I stopped showing the picture of the email to people in the UK, Australia and New Zealand, and I got better results as a result. So by doing that and looking at the reports and refining over time, you can decrease your costs and increase the revenues that you get from Facebook to get better and better results. And I'm going to take in your dreams here. Thanks, Denise. That was my comment about appealing to the youth. I had thought that maybe I would appeal to young women, Denise, but it was the opposite. I appealed to old men. Where do you find Facebook reporting, Rob? Go to the campaigns, Rob, and then you'll see your list of campaigns, and there's a report button above that. And that's why research is so important to test your hypothesis. You're absolutely right, Estelle. That's absolutely right. Ethel, rather, not Estelle. Ethel. Right. So, quick question. I'm kind of a bit worn now. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Has that been helpful so far? We're going to go on to Q&A in a bit, but just wanted to make sure we've covered some good material. I told you I would try and wear myself out and give you as much as I could. Excellent. So we've had very, very good. Yes, very good. Even from a Canadian. Sorry, David. Yes, very good. Very, very good. Excellent. Okay, so I'm really glad you found that helpful. I'm going to talk just for a second about my Facebook lead machine program and the pilot I'm running. So, I'm not 100% sure why everyone attended today. We saw the stats earlier, so we had some people who were kind of thinking of Facebook ads but weren't sure that they would go a lot of people who wanted to start Facebook ads but weren't sure what to focus on. I hope I've given you some pointers on where to focus. And some people who were just started or doing Facebook ads but wanted to get better results. So I hope for all of you, I've given you some useful stuff and some value, and you'll be able to make progress and go further with either getting started with Facebook advertising or improving the advertising you're already doing. If you'd like to go kind of further, faster, I'm going to talk for a couple of seconds about the Facebook Lead Machine pilot program. So this just started last week. What I've done is I've created an online course that obviously goes into much more depth than I can just on a webinar in all these different areas, and where you get personal support from me. So it's 4 modules I'll quickly go through. The first module is all about that audience research. It started today. The first videos in that were released today. It's about identifying and selecting your target clients, researching their interests and demographics, using custom and lookalike audiences. Didn't really talk about custom and lookalike audiences, but I'll show you how to do that. I showed you 2 of the methods for finding the right pages to target. There are 5 methods in total. There's a kind of sneaky backdoor method you can use as well that I cover in the course. And then I talk more about audience insights to make sure you get the right people in your audience. That's a really important module because that research determines whether you'll be able to get your ads in front of the right people. Secondly, I go into detail on building your follow-up system. So that's the landing pages that get sign-ups, creating a lead magnet, email marketing strategies to nurture relationships, the tools and shortcuts you can use, some templates for your landing pages, and some copy and paste templates for your follow-up emails as well, depending on which of the funnel models you want to use. Module 3 is about the ad campaigns, so the right imagery, the right copy for your ads, getting the right tone, getting that blend yet standing out. How to use the right targeting and budgeting options. So I haven't talked about that, but there are different ways of budgeting and especially different ways of targeting your ads based on getting clicks to your website, getting people to like your ad, optimizing for conversions, etc. I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to start a campaign properly and then ramp it up. You don't want to start a campaign with a very big budget, especially if you're using any of the optimized bidding methods. You want to start Facebook small until it finds the right people and then ramp up from there. And I'll also show you how to make sure your campaigns get the right side of Facebook policies. So Facebook has policies related to the amount of text you can show on an advert, for example, whether you can mention certain words, and I'll show you, how to comply with those. Module 4 is some advanced strategy, so the reporting suite I've talked about, lookalike audiences. I'll also go into retargeting. So some people at the minute are finding difficulties with the basic strategy that I've just outlined of sending people straight to a landing page where they sign up. In their particular market, now it works brilliantly in my market, probably in yours, because we don't have these kind of make money online type markets that are kind of oversold to. But retargeting is a way that instead of sending people to a landing page where they subscribe, you send them to a blog post. And then you mark them, and then the people who've been to the blog post and got good value from it, you then send to an ad with a landing page where they subscribe. And for some people, they're getting better results from that. So we'll look at that. I'll also show you how to handle negative feedback on your ads. You will inevitably get some negative feedback on your ads. It's just the nature of the territory. I'll show you how to handle that. Of course, what you also get is a forum. So there's a Facebook forum where you can raise questions, get answers from me, and my personal support during the pilot to make it work. So as I said, I'm going to go through this very quickly. The pilot's just begun. There are 50 places on the pilot. Over half of them have gone already. So we're up and ready to go. If you're interested, then the price for the pilot only is $97 plus VAT if you're in Europe. That gives you access to the pilot, all the training course, the forum, personal support from me during the pilot, because I'm using the pilot to refine and improve the training program, and it'll give you lifetime access to the program after that. Obviously, after we've done the pilot, the price is going to double. I think the program's going to cost something like $197 on an ongoing basis. But if you join the pilot, obviously that's helping me out. It's helping me improve the program. You get a chance to shape and ask all the questions and make sure they're answered by the program. So it's just $97 for that. So if you want to join us, love to have you on board. As I said, there are only 50 places available. Half of them have gone already from the people who took part in a survey that I did earlier about the program, but would love to have you on board. If you're not ready yet, it's not a big priority for you right now, that's fine too. I hope you found the webinar useful, but if you would like to join us, you can go to ianbrody.com/FB lead machine. If you go there, it'll give you the details that I've just given you about the program. You can click a button and you can go and join the membership site there, put your details in, and get accessing the first videos straight away on getting audience insights. As I say, love to have you on board if you want to join. If you're not ready to join, Rob said, too cheap. Honestly, this is not the price it's going to sell at in the future, Rob, obviously. The idea is going to be $197 minimum, and you won't get as much support in future because obviously this is a pilot. I'm working very hands-on with the people on the pilot, but I want to just make this, just get the pilot filled up, get all 50 people going. I obviously can't handle more than 50 people if lots of people are asking questions and things. I think that's probably a reasonable number of people to handle in the pilot, so it will run out. It might be that you try and buy and the numbers are up and all 50 are used. I have no idea whether that's going to happen. I'm not going to pull some fake. There are only 2 places left. There were 20-something places left when I looked this morning. So if you want to join, great to have you on board. Love to work with you. Love to get your feedback. Love to use you to help refine the program to make it the highest value Facebook advertising course there is. And what I'd like to do now is just move on to Q&A. Did I say life support? Yeah, it depends what you mean life support, Ethel. You'll have lifetime access to the program, so whenever I add new modules, whenever I change the material or refine it, update it, if you've been on the pilot, you'll always have access to that forever. You'll always have access to the Facebook forum where you can ask questions, and I'll be logging into that usually every day and answering questions there. So life support in the sense of lifetime supporting it through the Q&A and stuff like that. How long does it take to complete the 4 modules? Chris, in all honesty, I don't know. That's one of the things I'm trying to work out in the pilot. There's a pre-season training module that's about an hour or so of videos. I think module 1, each module will be between 30 minutes to half an hour of video training in detail. I am advising people to set aside at least a couple of hours a week to work on this. Some people are doing more. I know from one person who jumped on the pilot early on, he's saying, I'm setting aside 2 or 3 hours a day to work on this because I want to get going fast. But I would say at least a couple of hours a week to work on it. Hopefully, and the modules are being released week by week, hopefully you guys will be able to tell me at the end of the pilot, actually you said, 2 hours a week. We think it can be done in an hour a week, or we think you really need 3 hours a week or whatever. So there is a bit of variability in there because it's a new program. 404 on that link, not possible. Surely not. www. Wouldn't that be fantastic if the page has disappeared? ianbrody.com /FB lead machine. Where's it gone? Apologies. I think can you see again? Works fine. You spelled your name wrong. Oh, I didn't. Oh, no. No, please tell me I didn't spell my name wrong. That's ridiculous. Oh, blimey. Oh, man. Thanks, everyone, for pointing that out. That is the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. So it's ianbrody.com /FB lead machine, not Iananan Brody. Okay, right, let's go into questions. Has anyone got any questions other than telling me that I can't spell? Oh, blimey. Oh, there are 100 messages coming in saying I've spelt my name wrong. Hello. Oh, good heavens. Oh, technology is. Sorry, everyone. Okay, everyone's laughing now. Oh, well, at least you got a laugh out of the email as well. Jim, if you're a VAT registered European business, drop me an email and I'll drop you a private link to get it so that it doesn't charge VAT. And then you'll obviously pay VAT in the normal way through your, you do the normal kind of reclaim that you do over in Ireland, etc. So by default, I charge VAT, but I can give you a link that doesn't charge VAT. Just drop me an email. Ian, what's the typical conversion rate from opt-in to the $97 initial product sell? Carl, it's usually very low. So I could show you that on going back to the original thing because the numbers are on there, but let me just write it down. So on the $97 thing, so if your thing is $97, I found I was getting a 4% sign-up rate. When I did a $7 one, I found I was getting a 7% sign-up rate. So you can go back on the replay and watch the numbers there and see they roughly turn out at about 4% and 7%. On both of those, I was getting a 20%. Leslie's just texted me as well. Thank you, Leslie, to say I typed it wrong. On both of those, I got a 20% of people who bought the product signed up for Momentum Club. That's why I went with the 7% one, because 7%, 20% is higher than 4%, even discounting the difference between the 9% and the 7%. So it's quite a low conversion rate, because obviously people don't know you so well early on. So it's only 4% or 7%, but it's enough. The 4% is enough, obviously, to pay back the cost of the advertising, which can give you a lot of confidence. Landing page setup, Chris has said, how easy is it to set up a landing page? I talk about 3 tools in the course, Chris. One is lead pages. If you've got lead pages, it's dead easy. That's how I set it up. If I use OptimizePress as well, it's a bit more tricky on there, or a cheaper option called the Thrive Content Builder or Thrive Landing Pages. None of them are that difficult. You will need to do a bit of dragging and dropping and to link it up with your email marketing system, so you'll need to copy and paste a bit of code for that. So it's not super difficult. I'll give you some suggested templates for the pages, and if I can, I will see if I can save a template from OptimizePress, for example, that you could upload into yours and then replace with your own imagery. Minimum budget for FB advertising, Paul, I think it's a couple of £100, a couple of $100. I think if you're not spending a couple of £100 or dollars, then you won't get enough data to know whether Facebook ads are working or not. I mean, you can get started obviously with 5 or 10, and I would spread that. I would only spend initially $5, £5 a day initially till Facebook has understood your targeting and is showing your ads to the right people, and then I would ramp it up a bit if you want. But I would look to be spending a couple of $100 to get a sense of enough clicks and enough visits to know whether it's working or not. What's the members URL for Facebook Lead Machine? The members URL, Bill, once you're already in, it's at, I'll just type it here. You should get a link to it in your email. It's members.ianbrody.com/login. All my stuff lives there, so if you're a member of any of my programs, you log in there and you can scroll through and pick up any of the programs. How are you handling the EU VAT rules, Jean or Jean, depending on your nationality? The way I am handling the EU VAT rules is that all my products, and I repeat all, even the $7 one, have personal tutor support. So I have a Facebook group, I have webinars, I have a chat button on the website, and I have email support. So every program I do has lots of support from me, and that because of that, it means the VAT, the program is being delivered from here in the UK, and the VAT I charge is UK VAT. That's the way the rules can work here in the UK, is if I have personal tutor, so if you offer personal tutor support for an online program, it means the program is not electronically delivered, and therefore you charge UK VAT rather than the VAT of the country you're in. If it had purely been just giving you the videos and the downloads and things, I would have had to have charged the VAT of the country that you're in, but I don't do that. And that works brilliantly for a pilot anyway. I've heard it's very hard to make an impact with Facebook ads if you're not famous with name recognition. Hi, Kathy. I can imagine that it's much easier if you're famous with name recognition, but I don't think that lots of people particularly knew me very well when I showed my Facebook ads. So perhaps the picture of me worked in that sense. I'm just going to go back to the slides actually. But if you look at some of the ads I was running like that, I mean, what I did do, and this is one of the kind of super tips, is I send it from me. So my Facebook page doesn't have a logo and it doesn't have a brand name on it. It has my name and my picture to kind of humanize it. So it doesn't jar and look as if someone's kind of over advertising to them because it's coming from a person. So I like that style of advertising. I first saw Perry Marshall do that with Facebook ads. But I don't think this one here, especially, which is the one that won in most countries, I don't think that says, well-known person. The key is in the value. It's a 21-word email that can get you more clients, and you can copy and paste it. I think it says copy and paste it. Exclusive template. It says something like that. So the key really is the value rather than being famous. One thing I'm concerned about is keeping people once I get them. Any suggestion how to generate good ongoing emails? That's probably my weakness. Suzanne, buy my book, Email Persuasion. I will show you how to do the campaigns. I'll give you some sample emails for the campaigns to run initially. What I'll do, Suzanne, is in the program, I'll add in some thoughts on doing emails on an ongoing basis. I have a technique for coming up with ideas that's based on the targeting we talked about earlier, on understanding your target clients and what their problems, aspirations, goals and challenges, and constantly cycling round things that will be useful to them related to that. So I'm sure that will be able to help. Carl said 4%. Excellent, thank you. Can Facebook ads be used for affiliate marketing, i.e. selling someone else's products or services? Yes, they can, Vivek. They absolutely can. A lot of people do it. What I would do is, if you're doing affiliate marketing, I would still send people and capture the email yourself. And then you can use your email marketing to sell the relevant products and services. I wouldn't just send them to the salesperson of the course you're promoting or whatever it is you're promoting, the sales page of it, because then you're paying for the ad, but they get the lead, as it were. And as we've just said, people often don't buy first time. You want to get the lead and then send them to the ad afterwards. Carl's got to run. Fantastic seminar, thank you. What software are you using for my members area? Yvonne, I'm using a thing called MemberMouse. Let me just... Oh, I need to switch over here. So if you go to... I'm using MemberMouse. Oh, not Members Mouse. I still can't spell at all. MemberMouse.com. Stop typing Members Mouse, Ian. Stop typing Members Mouse. MemberMouse.com. I use MemberMouse for the actual platform that controls the membership site. It's a really good platform. And I use OptimizePress version 2. Oops. To control the look and feel. That's the WordPress theme I use on it. And knowing OptimizePress, it's going to play a video, isn't it, when I first get there? So I'm going to leave that in a second. Click stop on that. Right, so that's that question. Any more? Everybody's got to go. We are coming to Yvonne. When is Module 1 starting? Is it delivered via webinar? Hi, Ethel. No, all the training is delivered by video primarily. Don't tell anyone on the course, but I'm planning to run a couple of surprise webinars for Q&A. I haven't promised that. I have now, obviously, but I haven't said that. I'm going to do a couple of Q&A webinars, but... The courses are delivered via video. So actually, I am going to... what am I going to do? Let me show you what it's like inside the members area right now. So if I log in over here... So this is the members area. I should have had this teed up. Oh, it won't let me in because I'm the administrator. So if I bring up Firefox, that's better. There's the members area with me logged in. This is the Facebook lead machine. So inside the Facebook lead machine, when we log in, there's your welcome video. The pre-season training videos are here. And there are the videos here on introduction to Facebook advertising, marketing funnels, some of the things we talked about, my recommended tools, how to create a lead magnet, so how to create a lead magnet in a couple of hours, and some get ready activities, and then a link to the forum. And then if we just go back in here, back in module 1, we've got 2 of the module 1 videos up so far on finding your audience on Facebook. We've got getting started with audience research, and we've got extending the audience research. So with each of the videos, I've got validating as well. That's coming soon. So with each video, you get the video, obviously. Hi, it's Ian here. Welcome back to module 1. And then you can download the video, you can download the MP3 and the PDFs. Sometimes I'll have workbooks and worksheets for you to work through, which you can download from there. So this is the targeting worksheet, if you're a member of the course, that you'll work through to sort out your targeting. So module 1 has just started. It's not all there yet, but the first couple of videos are there from module 1. You found it. If I already have a personal Facebook account as well as a business page, are you saying it's better to use the personal account? Which I've heard before, but isn't... No, sorry, Paul. I'm saying create a page. So with 2 things. Firstly, newsfeed ads always have to come from a page. So if I'll go onto Facebook, actually, and just show you this. So on Facebook, your newsfeed ads have to come from a page. But what I've done is if you look at my pages here, so that's my personal stream, and my picture is in yellow, because if you look at me, actually, I've been a smarty pants, and I have a picture of me on a kind of next to a whatever those are, corkboard. But if I go to my Facebook page, which is here, you'll notice it's called Ian Brody as well as an author, and it has a picture of me. So what I'm saying is I'm sending the ads from my page, but I don't use a business brand name or a business logo or anything on the page. That means when you look at the ads look more personal and human because they've got that, so that you saw there is the logo of my and the name of my Facebook page. So sorry, I was slightly misleading there. It is Facebook pages. You should go with Facebook. You have to go with Facebook pages, but make a page that is a bit more personal. What did you use to design your site at emailpersuasion.com? That's just OptimizePress, Rob. That's OptimizePress, standard OptimizePress 2, with a Lead Pages homepage. The homepage is the book homepage from Lead Pages. The inside is OptimizePress. How much do I expect to spend for a campaign, and what's a typical CPC? Herman, the campaign depends. I mean, I've spent thousands on campaigns, as you saw. You can run a campaign for as little as a couple of $100 or pounds and get good results from it and know whether it's working or not. As I said, I don't pay much attention to cost per click, because when you use optimized bidding, you get your cost per click is higher, but your cost per subscriber, per lead, is lower, because it's only showing the ads and only getting a high click-through rate from the right people. So you can get cost per click as low as a few cents. I'm actually paying something like 20 pence or 25 pence per click, but because they're really targeted and 30-something% of them are opting in, I'm only paying 95 pence per lead. So cost per lead is the one to go for. I'm involved in a few other programs right now. How time sensitive? Marie, it's not time sensitive at all. As long as you're one of the first 50, you can go through whenever you want. I don't mind. Obviously, if all 50 people signed up for the pilot and then didn't go through it for 6 months, I'd be a bit stuck in terms of getting feedback on the pilot. But as long as there are just a couple of people who go through it later, that's absolutely fine. Don't mind at all. Got to go. See you on the Facebook page. Slides of the presentation. I'm going to send them out probably about an hour or so, Cyprian. What I'll do is I have to render this video. It's a couple of hours long video, so it's going to take me a long time to render the video, probably a couple of hours. But then I will send out a link to the video with a link to the slides as well. Who do you use for your autoresponder and shopping cart? I use ActiveCampaign for the autoresponder, and the shopping cart is built into MemberMouse. However, I had to do a little bit of coding to get the right look and feel on that. Okay, you guys have got to go. What shopping cart dovetails with MemberMouse, and can you do UK VAT? Hi, Mark. The one I'm using, because I've used it beforehand on MemberMouse, is I'm just using MemberMouse's built-in shopping cart. So let me just go here. I'll go back to MemberMouse. So MemberMouse has a built-in shopping cart. That's the one I use. It doesn't have VAT. I am on the list to pilot their EU VAT module. So what I do is I create 2 products and I send people to different products depending on whether they should be paying VAT or not. One tool you can use is Samcart. So I actually have Samcart. I'm not using it for this, but Samcart is a specialist shopping cart. It allows you to create very nice looking checkout pages and to split test them. It integrates with Stripe, which is what I use for payments, for credit card payments, and it integrates with ActiveCampaign, which is what I use for emails, and it integrates with MemberMouse. It integrates with MemberMouse, with Wishlist, and with DAP in terms of membership systems. So have a look at their kind of stuff on here for Samcart, but that might be a good way for you to go. Because the pages they use on Samcart, I'd started doing things my way on MemberMouse and tailoring my own checkout on MemberMouse long before Samcart kind of did it. Where's the demo? Can't find the demo. Long before Samcart started doing it. So I don't use Samcart even though I've signed up for it. But it does have a lot of good stuff that it's worth looking at. Right, what do we got else as well? I promised I'd stay on to the questions. A lot of people have got to go. We are like 2 hours in, folks, I think. So I know some people have to go. I don't mind at all. If you guys need to go, that's no problem at all. Ethel's, how does Samcart compare to PayPal? Ethel, Samcart is a shopping cart rather than a payment processor. So with Samcart, you pick. I'm trying to find where they say what their different payment processors are. So with Samcart, you can hook it up to various different payment processors. So you can hook it up to Stripe, which is a really good way of easily getting on board collecting credit card details. So Stripe's charges are less than PayPal. People don't have to have a PayPal account or anything like that to do a subscription program, etc., etc. Samcart is going to integrate with PayPal within a week or so you can use PayPal as well. It also uses, I think, authorized.net and a couple of others. So Samcart basically is the look and feel of the shopping cart. I wish I could show you a Samcart shopping cart. I can't seem to get the live demo to come up. No, it's showing you the first look inside Samcart rather than the live demo. But it's there on a video sort of thing. It's showing you it. But basically, it's very good looking shopping carts that integrate with a whole load of different both membership systems and payment systems. Can I do live classes and physical products as well as memberships with Samcart MemberMouse? You can, but MemberMouse will just sell them for you. Samcart will just sell them. You have to do all the fulfillment yourself. Samcart, I think, links up to GoToWebinar. So Samcart would be better for live classes because I think it can register people on GoToWebinar automatically. Yeah, don't ask me, Mark, why accountants don't know that. Mark, send me an email about the VAT stuff. I actually recorded a video. I did a specialist webinar on European VAT for Danny Inney's audience masterclass, or his course builders course. And I give that to my members as well. I can send you a link to that, or I can just give you some pointers to the documentation on stuff. Will the pilots walk us through how to receive payments from our Facebook ad campaigns? Christina, if you want it, I will. It's fairly simple to demonstrate that. There are a lot of different options for that, but if you're in the pilot and you ask me a question on that, I'll show you how to do it. Thanks for. What's my email? Oh, that would be a good idea as well. It's ian@ianbrody.com. I'll write it in. ian@ianbrody.com. There we go. So you can email me on that, and I'll answer any questions, obviously, or probably the webinar invite you got. That's probably got my email on as well. I use the same email for everything. Right, where are we? Any more questions? I think we are just about running out of questions. Hey, thanks everyone for bearing with us right to the end. I do still have one further promise to live up to. What I promised you, and I'm going to break out of the presentation and go to Keynote here. I'm going to go right to the end because what I promised you was my checklist. So my little checklist. So if you go to ianbrody.com/FB checklist, try and spell Ian Brody right this time, unlike me. If you go to FB checklist, you can download a little checklist that has all those 5 critical success factors and a couple of bullet points next to each one. That'll be a good reminder for you of some of the things we discussed on the webinar. That's it. I promised you I'd be worn out by the end of the webinar. I am worn out by the end of the webinar. If you'd like to join me on the Facebook Lead Machine pilot, love to have you on board. If you don't want to join us on the pilot, but I just hope you got great value from the webinar, you enjoyed yourself, you found out some useful information, and I will see you all again soon on another webinar. Cheers, everyone. Been a real pleasure. Cheers.